Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to Blackout. My name is Amanda Levy, and I'm the executive director of No Peaking Theater. No Peaking Theater is a nonprofit sensory theater that provides a platform for all marginalized groups. This is the third edition of and the last part of our cultural series about the Indigenous experience, the Latin American experience, and we are finishing up with the Black experience during Black History Month. I want to thank everybody in attendance. I also want to welcome all donations to our lovely organization and to Frigid, who provided this amazing platform and the opportunity to live stream this show. If you would like to donate, there will be something, a QR code or a Venmo code in order to donate to us during the run of the show. You can also directly donate to us on our website, which is nopeakingtheater.org. You can keep up to date. You can join our mailing list. We've got a lot going on, and we'll probably see you in the future. But for now, without further ado, Blackout.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound, let it resound, let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Sing, facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. America is receiving her reckoning. May the spirits of the African and indigenous people whose blood enriches the soil on which we stand haunt you all. May you know no peace until peace can finally be afforded to the descendants of those who lived in captivity and were slaughtered. Live and continue to be slaughtered. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I and go home to my Lord and be free. Why have we been so complacent as a country? I am standing here almost out of tears because I have so much love for this world. I teach your children. I smile at you on the subway and you can't help but smile back because I have a gap and that makes you smile. I give this world love, real love. Every time I leave my home, and if you see me splayed out on the street with a knee in my neck, you do something.
They need your voice over there.
I'm waiting for my friend. We'll walk hand in hand one day.
Hey, you okay? I know. Ready?
No justice, no peace. We don't need racist police. No justice, no peace. If we don't get no justice, then we don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, then we don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, then we don't get no peace. No justice, no peace.
The revolution will be globalized. The revolution will not be televised. It will be globalized. I feel it. The ground is shaking. The earthquake is coming. Grab onto me, what? Nothing is still. The time is here. The world seems to get worse every day. I take the test of life every day, prepare all night, and still I rip the paper, erasing and crossing out, not sure of reality and fiction. I'm sure only of my pure conviction, this depiction of life. Oh, what a fucking life. Those who live without purpose, they aggravate me. Oh, it's not my problem. Hell yes it is. All problems are your problems because this world spins. And every issue affects us all eventually. The selfishness will get you nowhere. Listen to my words or beware. The end is not near, but it could be close. How do you want to say you lived your life, huh? Flirt your way into the arms of upliftment. You trying to bag something? Bag equality. Swag the latest world issue. Naturalize and legitimize caring about something or someone other than yourself. Because the revolution will not be televised, but it will be globalized.
A couple years back, friends of mine bought me improv and sketch writing classes for my birthday. I smiled when receiving my gift certificates, but apprehensive of the thought of performing my innermost nerdy thoughts around other like-minded individuals. But alas, I'm polite, so I attended my scheduled lessons at the UCB every Wednesday evening. I was surrounded by white, progressive men and women who had dreams of becoming famous writers. I myself wasn't even sure what I was going to get out of it. I like making people laugh, but hated the idea of extracting things out of myself on sight. It's all about losing yourself in your character, my teacher would always say. This should be fun for all of you. A release. Play the game as you see fit. Personally, I don't find anything I want to be good at as fun. We're like a giant puzzle I have to work with a bunch of people I barely know. I envied my classmates who were able and comfortable with saying how they felt through their comedy. I said and performed as a shell of myself, never fully comfortable with my ability to control a scene. I couldn't finish a skit to save my life. I always ended up playing in somebody else's scene. I was usually sassy, loud, sexual, sturdy, woman, black. I fucking hate being black. Now, mind you, I know what I am and I'm not ashamed of it by all means, but when you're the only minority in this sort of setting, there's this pressure to properly represent your race, even in comedy. I felt like I never got being black right. They wanted me to be Monique, Cookie Lion, Leslie Jones, but I'm more of a combination of Saved by the Bell's Lisa Turtle and cartoon character Daria. I started to feel inadequate. One night, a guy named Dave asked if I could play a part in one of his sketches. "Oh, I think you'd be great for it," he said as he passed me his skit. I'm sure he wanted me to play the role of the sassy MTA worker. I imagined he wanted me to suck my teeth, roll my neck, and smack my imaginary gum. It was his turn to present his skit. As he was about to say his first line, I cut him off and decided to read his lines. His character was the straight man, usually just a stock character in comedy. He looked at me strangely as he had to roll his eyes and roll his neck. Dave was following my lead. We pretty much had to improvise the entire scene. That was an interesting change of pace, my teacher said. I admitted to the class that I was supposed to be the MTA worker, but I thought I'd fucking scream if I was pigeonholed into another lame, sassy black girl character. I apologized to Dave and returned to my seat. Class was over, and everyone was heading to an Irish pub a couple of blocks down from the school. My classmates were walking ahead of me, but I noticed my teacher stayed behind to walk next to me. "You did a pretty ballsy thing earlier, Courtney." I shrugged my shoulders. "Congratulations, though. You finally controlled the scene, but next time do it with your own words." That moment, I realized my polite complacency in my comedy was doing more harm than good. I can be sassy, but most importantly, I'm okay with being normal. I might be the only one, but I have a lot to say.
Girl, you got some bad ass hair, my mama tells me as she blow dries my hair. One night after I put my scarf on, I had a nightmare about my bad hair. My bad hair broke free from all the barrettes and ribbons and then ran out and massacred all the gentle creatures of the forest. Later, I began watching the evening news to wait for sketches of my kinky puffballs who were wanted assailants who had just committed some horrible murder. I used to read the paper and hope that my hair fit the description of a suspect who just robbed the bank and hid all the money under my pillow. Maybe I could use the money to create an obedience school for my bad hair. My cousin, who's part Indian, has good hair. Her hair does things like shine the bells that the Salvation Army volunteers ring every Christmas. Her hair makes sure that the latch on the mailbox is always old. Her hair makes sure that the washing machine always stays in place during the spin cycle. And on a good day, she buries all the dead animals, the ones that my bad hair has killed in the forest. I once dreamed that my hair was feeling a bit mischievous and stole a bag of 25-cent potato chips and then was the victim of police brutality. The police unnecessarily beat my hair almost to death. My hair then had to drag its battered, tattered self back to my scalp. Then in the morning, I found it really hard to explain my thin hair and bald spots to my grandmother, who did my hair before school. One time during Black History Month, my grandmother and I were watching old footage of the Birmingham riots. I watched the policemen spraying people with water hoses. I wondered what that must have been like. I also wonder what my hair would have done in that situation. My hair is not bad. My hair is smart, you know. It's made up of small coils that coil up on itself when it's scared. It's especially scared of water. So during the riots, my hair would have coiled up so tightly that it would have taken my grandmother an extra long time to press my hair once it dried. Despite the bad reputation that my hair has, it's still very hopeful about its future. It wants us to do many wonderful, courageous, and great things. So far, my hair wants me to be an actress, an astronaut, a geologist, a painter, a writer, and a mechanic, all in one lifetime. My hair believes in me. But if my hair and I are not successful at all, there's always a life of crime. Since my hair is so smart, there will be no petty larceny for me and my hair. We will only commit white-collar crime like Madoff, such as tax evasion and embezzlement.
But what happened to bring this on? Because I don't know all of what happened. I need facts. Just stop resisting. All he had to do was put his hands up and follow instructions. Because everybody wants to be an overnight attorney and start reciting a bunch of jargon on Facebook Live. Am I being detained? Is this probable cause, officer? Not according to Article 34, Section B, officer. I do not consent to the unauthorized. Hey, he was probably a criminal anyway. None of us know. I feel like he's innocent. But you know how black people are.
My life? Something always felt wrong, off, gift-like, as if I were gifted. No, cursed. Cursed as I would have learned about time. See, with time, one would think comes change, hopefully for the better, but more than likely for the worst. Truly mind-blowing. One of the primary arguments that the murdering racist apologists have is to ask why I don't join the police force to make a difference. Here's the thing. I work very hard, and I pay a significant amount of taxes, some of which goes directly to overpaid police officers. Police across the country have bloated salaries, overtime pay, and pensions. So me going to work every day and producing value actually is what gives them their salary. So I have every right to criticize them. Second of all, the vast majority of police and the so-called police work is not dangerous. It is an absolute myth that they are risking their lives daily. If you think that cops have an overly dangerous job, I have a great piece of property to sell you. 3, cops are trained and paid handsomely so that they can occasionally face these situations. The woman who murdered Terrence Crutcher, claimed she had never been so scared in her life. She had body armor, a taser, multiple weapons on her, air support, and 3 other officers around her as she looked at a man with his hands in the air and unarmed. If she was scared, do you think she's in the right line of work? No. I'm sure many people in Tulsa who don't fall into the bigot camp don't want their hard earned taxpayer dollars going to the salary and now paid time off of a so called police officer who was scared of a man who had his car break down on the highway. In most jobs, you are paid for a series of tasks. You are asked to perform these tasks well. I'm not sure what makes people think that cops have a different standard that they should be graded on. 4. Do not make excuses that there are a few bad apples that ruin the bunch in the police forces. Police across the United States have a systemic racism problem. It is not a few bad apples, it's a widespread disease. 5. When police come to the defense of their fellow policemen and make excuses on their behalf and continue to cover up their wrongdoings, it really makes you wonder about the bad apples. If there was a killer in my office, I'm not sure I would jump to protect him or her. I would certainly distance myself from them. So I'm sorry, but police officers that get attacked, your brother's blood is on your hands. Don't blame the protesters. Blame yourselves. Take accountability for your actions. 6. Fuck your all lives matter. Black lives matter. End of story. Your life already matters because you appear white, middle class, and male. You were born to that privilege. But the fact of the matter is, you're a product of both your mother, white, and your father, black. It's what it is, and you are who you are. Streets will continue to burn across the country until there's real change. I'm not going to feel sorry for the police departments that have havoc wreaked on them. I don't support violence, but I understand where the anger is coming from. You'd be angry too if you thought that you had a decent chance of being murdered by someone whose salary you pay as you walk down the street. So you can jump to the police officer's side, or you can demand change, and you can scoff at any police officer you see. It doesn't matter what they found in his car afterwards. They could have found a half-eaten family in the trunk and 100 pounds of cocaine in the back seat. None of that is legal justification for a police officer to shoot an unarmed person who is complying with their directions. Stop that.
Hey, how are you today? I passed them by morning after morning after morning. Fine, thank you. Always the same polite exchanges. How are you? I'm fine. Nothing changes. Wait, what did she say? It's not that I'm not listening. I'm a good person. I try. But how can you pretend to be happy for my good day if you've never even asked me why? We've never had an actual conversation. Instead, you play you and I play me, but your you is closer to you than my me will ever be because the code. See, the code tells me that my me is something that I must acculturate. And your you tells you that if I don't, then I'm the one that you're supposed to hate because black is just not right. No, black is just not white. Your blank stares remind me of this fact anytime I let a single glimpse of me out to play. Your nervous smile says, I'm kind of curious, but could you not be so you today? And just when I'm about to say something really sassy, your you tells me that you're allowed to be obnoxious, but I have to remain ever so classy because that's the code. I can't remember when I first learned it, but I remember when I first saw. See, I remember my mom, she used to change her tone up anytime Mrs. Grinnan called, and I never asked why, but for some reason, I just knew that one day I'd get a call and I'd have to change my voice up too. I'd have to speak, eliminating my contractions. I'd have to take some of your insults without giving you a reaction. I'd remove the traces of my culture from our everyday conversations. I'd never be able to opt out of being the bigger person in almost every situation. And that's not to say that I haven't messed up. But don't think it doesn't come without penalty. Don't think that I don't get labeled by one slip up potentially. The code makes me say things, do things in ways I don't want to do. I had to abide by this code just to present this code to you.
Cave dwellers, degenerates. They can't even sit in the sun. They ain't human. Look it up. Ain't even got no melon. Always trying to push an agenda, trying to break up the black family. Look, another television series, more propaganda. Trying to inject themselves in my family, fascinate my black child, because they want us all dependent on that system. Having them change their thoughts, make them practice this old European way of living. That's why they trying to keep their old BC lineage alive. All this interracial mess, sleeping with each other, because any bit of melanin will sustain them. That's how powerful we are. We must not let them in. We must organize. Don't take nothing from no white man. And if you sleep with the cave dwellers, you are not a part of the community. I don't condone black support of any white establishment. Buy my book, Black Kings, Black Queens, No Man, White Dreams. Click the link and send payment to my PayPal.
Posted by King Offset Ra Ampuhotep 8:19 p.m., aka Henry Carl Johnson. Occupation, Walmart sales associate. Social media group moderator. Synthetic fragrance oil salesman. Divorced, infidelity. Affair, caught with Becky Valentine at Hooters, who is 7 months pregnant with Henry's child.
I packed my things and I left my precious land of the free and home of the brave. I left it for higher ground. I left it for solace and sanctuary. I left it all for Africa. Behind me stood mom and dad and sister and brother and niece and nephew, friends and associates alike, all for Africa. But before I got a chance to miss them all, I saw them again. I saw them in Africa. At the airport, I saw my best friend Isha. She was short like Isha, with hair like Isha's, and she was calm, collected, and cucumber cool, just like Isha. Cool like Isha in her official wear, her stewardess suit in 90-degree weather. She was cool like you, Isha. I saw you and you and you and all of you in Africa. I saw Oprah in Africa. But she wasn't in South Africa. She wasn't the head of an academy for young girls. She hadn't arrived in her personal jet with her entourage, and no one had to practice the billionaire's welcoming ritual by throwing dollars or petals or gold coins at her feet. Oh no. Oprah in West Africa was a simple woman who sold peppers, onions, and okra by the side of road, where her babes played around her with their big bellies and wearing nothing but glee on their faces. I saw you. I saw you in Africa, Shaniqua. I saw you with your hair fixed up really nice. You decided to replace your precious roller wrap with a waterfall of braids falling down your back. Your swagger was still impeccable, your voice still loud and boisterous and powerful, talking world politics. Your thoughts were still influential, potent, and great. Just like at home, where you talked the politics of love, of how he loved you despite being sent upstate. Love lost, love found, and love on the rebound. I saw you. I saw you in Africa, Daquan. You were there driving your little girls to school before you're pulled over and harassed by the police. During the day, you hustled, driving a gypsy cab to make ends meet, and at night, you were the best father you could be, despite the odds. And here in a land of trust and pride, we find that the powers that be fought, harassed, and damaged all that could be. So whether you're a doctor, a father, a prince, a taxi driver, or a hustler, or a king, or a pauper, or a homeless man, you all still struggle and strive for manhood and hope. I saw you. I saw you in Africa, Grandma Lula. Remember when we went to the farmer's market and bought collard greens for 25 cents a pound? When Mr. Johnny Lee traded us 10 pounds of salt pork for the quilt we'd made? And how we cut up those greens up and cooked them with salt pork and crushed red pepper and vinegar and coupled it with some cornbread? And then how we got down with it and ate it with our hands? Well, my grandma Frances in Africa eats her dinner with her hands every night. She molds her pounded yams with her fingers and dips it in her stew with her ewedu and swallows it along with her charity. I saw you. I saw you in Africa, Radio Rahim, and you were there following the beat. It is the heartbeat of a continent, absorbing and reminiscing in the oral tradition, which tells us the truth about who we are, who we were, and who we can be. So whether you're pumping your fist at Public Enemy or writing the rhythm and melody of the metaphor of Jay-Z, the beat, the heartbeat of the continent will always beckon us home. I saw you. No, better yet, I saw me in Africa. I was a slender little girl with a snaggletooth smile and 3-day-old ponytail. I walked with a lilt. I had a rhythmic swing in my step and a titillating song in my heart. It was long before I took on the plight of the black superwoman that decays spirit. It was when racism, sexism, colorism, and classism were imaginary ghosts under my bed, and a hug from daddy could make them all go away. Capitalism was equivalent to a handful of M&Ms. M&Ms were better than money because you could eat them. I was there. I was present. I was alive and fortified by God to take on the world. So I embraced her. She packed her things, and we traveled back to America, whole again.
I grew up in a family that was centered on God and influenced heavily by music. My parents had established themselves in the hardworking middle class, both migrating to the suburbs of central Jersey from the South. They were proud to be Black, but were old enough to have experienced intense and overt racial tensions and discrimination. I was not shielded from the realities of the world or their personal experiences, but my parents were very intentional about providing an environment where my sisters and I were safe, cared for, and quite honestly, a little spoiled. I was always encouraged to explore my artistic abilities and was given opportunities at a young age to perform on various stages throughout the world. I wasn't a prodigy, but I was connected to some really great people who were committed to the arts in my local school and community. As important as music was, my parents made it clear that Common Core academics were a chief priority and made sure I stayed in honors classes and special programs for gifted children. When conversations about college arose in my second year of high school, I could see that there were some differences in what I wanted and what my parents wanted for me. I had my heart set on music and was passionate about sharing it with the world, while my parents were setting up college tours and looking into scholarships for the best business programs in the country. By the time I was a senior in high school, I was accepted into a prominent school of business with a partial scholarship offered to me. My parents were elated, but I felt slightly disappointed at the thought of spending the next chapter of my life studying the ins and outs of the business world. I was pleased that I had achieved so much and that my parents were so proud of me, but my heart wanted to pursue music. 2 weeks before graduation, I told my parents that I was not going to school for international business and that instead I would be pursuing a degree in music education. They were disappointed because that wasn't the plan. They had not struggled and sacrificed to see their child go to school for something that, in their minds, was not worth the expense or the time. I was bombarded with questions about how I would find a job, where I would get the money to pay for school, and why I would choose to discard the things I had worked so hard for. They responded like many blacks their age would. Success in their minds for a black person was about being equal with other whites and competing and getting positions that were esteemed highly. Black people had been known for decades to sing and entertain, and that was not something they thought I should have pursued. I was hurt, but motivated not just to indulge in my passion, but to build a career doing what I love. I wanted to show my parents that music is a part of who I am. And with all of the skills they taught me and all of the knowledge I had, I was the best equipped to share it with the generations of artists to come. My experiences as a black artist are varying in every season of my life, but they started with self-acceptance and courage to dig deeper than what people expected of me, even if those expectations seemed higher and more esteemed. I am whole in my skin, in God, in my career as a music educator, and in the love I share with family and friends that has ushered me through every place of doubt.
It's just a trend. Social media is mass media. It's just a trend. And Channel 6 is obsolete. It's just a trend. So we are moved by proximity. It's just a trend. Hashtag 010101. Play, share, react, debate, defend, join, like, protect in your own comfort and convenience. But what if it isn't? Just not a trend. And ignorance is the disease. And ignorance is screaming. And it's not CGI, battle tactics, and war machines. But what if the disorder and that unnatural calls out to love, to correct imperfect intention?
The beehive is buzzing. Beyonce is
A
buzzing.
shooter opened fire in an Orlando nightclub early Sunday morning, and now authorities are investigating it as an act of
I did
terror.
not have sexual relations with that woman.
So here's what I'm having trouble getting it. Okay, patient. All right, we're doing good. Doing good.
Kris
Okay, so
Jenner
this
is
what I
also at the
got.
house
Once
in New
again,
York.
this
She
is
came
from
back
me.
with Kim. Kendall left as well.
The second and third strikes targeted Islamic State militants with cooperation from 5 Arab nations.
You are fake news. Sir, go ahead. Can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not appropriate.
Thank you, everybody, for attending Blackout. We do not have another show coming up, but if you want to keep following us and figure out what we're up to, you can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on TikTok. You can also check out our website. And we have a great relationship with Frigid, so we're probably going to team up again soon. Thank you all so much. Consider donating. Yeah, I think that's about it. Black Lives Matter. Have a great night.